Yuumi is a problem. The league champion has been a thorn in Riot's side since her release. She's been called the single most anti-fun champion in League of Legends history. Riot have desperately tried to fix her over the years, including some more changes this week, but has it all failed? Some are saying the only solution is to do to Yuumi something that has never been done to a champion before. Alright, before we get into the video, I want to remind you that we have a brand new show out called Into the Dark. We're making it in partnership with Kraken Rum. It's a one-of-a-kind dive into the incredible stories behind gaming's biggest protagonists as they took a leap into the unknown and emerged victorious. It's unlike anything we've done before, and the first episode is already out, covering the amazing story of Simple and how he overcame toxicity and the challenges of a new region to become the GOAT of CSGO. You can check it out using the link in the description below. Alright, so I'm sure many of you know Yuumi already, the magical cat that latches onto an allied champion, making her untargetable while she spams supportive spells. It's that untargetable nature with no reliance on positioning that has made her so difficult to balance since her release a little over 4 years ago. She simultaneously feels unkillable while making her allies into absolute monsters, and you can't even deal with her like most enchanters by just bursting her down because she's constantly hidden behind another player's health bar. And even in pro play, fans just found it incredibly boring to watch a champion like this, one which you didn't even see on the map for most of the game. At one point, Riot literally had to publish an article defending her very existence to the fans who wanted her removed from the game. It's not just a meme, people have really hated her. She saw an almost constant presence in pro play during the first 2 years of her release. When Riot did try to nerf her in 2021, they felt they went too far and then buffed her the following year. That turned out to be a complete disaster at Worlds 2022, where she ended up with a 95% pick ban rate. She only made it through the ban phase in 8 out of 76 of those games and was on the winning side in all of them.
In between week 1 and week 2, fans cheering as Yuumi is banned out. That champion. Medic will not need to tweet about Yuumi, at least for the first game today.
After Worlds, Riot smashed the cat again with another nerf hammer that left her effectively dead this time. She was as good as gone from the game, and although there is one way to fix a broken champion, it's obviously not ideal. And so in March this year, Riot launched a rework for Yuumi that sought to balance her by creating counterplay and limiting her presence in pro play while still leaving her as a viable option for new players to the game. Riot Froxon had already said as much in February by calling Yuumi a great champion to bring a friend into the game, one that was supposed to be easy to learn but hard to master. Because let's be honest, League's learning curve has steepened a lot over the years. There's so much going on that a tutorial could simply never cover. Having a champion like Yuumi does allow new players to get familiar with League in what is ostensibly an interactive spectator mode before having to learn everything else about the game. It does help ease that learning curve slightly. With that objective in mind, Riot swapped Yuumi's passive shield and her heal, made her Q more difficult to land, and added a heal to her ultimate. But some immediately said the rework had failed, that Riot had not achieved what they set out to do, and that if anything, these changes perhaps made her even stronger. Now, part of all this is undoubtedly her crazy synergy with Zeri, who has been dominating the AD carry meta in recent months. Yuumi shores up her weaknesses and amplifies her strengths to ridiculous levels, particularly in pro play. As much as Riot wanted this to finally be the fix for Yuumi, even they had to admit it hadn't quite gone to plan. Just over a month after the rework, Riot announced Yuumi would be disabled during the upcoming MSI 2023 because, in their words, her mid-scope isn't quite ready for pro play yet, so rather than risk having an untuned and disruptive champion, she will be disabled. And so, for the first time in a while, fans were treated to a whole tournament that didn't feature the untargetable Hellcat, making pro games significantly less exciting to watch. I was lucky enough to watch some of those games in person at MSI, and I have to admit, her presence was not missed. In fact, many people felt the removal of this single champion from the pool made the entire game more fun to watch. But others also warned she'd be back with a vengeance once the domestic leagues returned, that disabling her was only a temporary fix. And to be honest, That's kind of what happened. Yuumi is so far sitting at a 97.4% presence in the LCK, with only a single game in which she's not been picked or banned. The only silver lining there is that she does have the lowest win rate out of the top 8 most contested champions, but her near total presence in that league is being pointed to as a failure of the rework to curb her power in pro play. And you can also point to the LPL, where although her presence is only half as much as seen in the LCK, she's sitting at an astonishing 73.3% win rate, the highest of any champion played more than 5 times in that league. In a heavily downvoted post, Riot Freak took to Reddit to defend the rework as mostly successful, showing how Yuumi's solo queue win rate and pro play presence have both dropped after her rework, and also explained her continued popularity in the LCK as being down to the region's poor drafting. Now personally, I think it is a little bit dismissive to essentially ignore the LCK's data because you don't think they know what they're doing. I'm not saying they're perfect, but let's give them some credit. Freak also pointed to Yuumi's win rate as a sign that her power had shifted away from pro play and towards the average player. But the latest numbers from this week may put a dent in that argument. On Wednesday, Riot released patch 13.12, which changed her heal and shield power to now be based on spell rank instead of ally level, while also reducing the shield value and attack speed buff on her E and the heal per hit of her ultimate. It's only been 2 days, but these changes have Yuumi currently sitting at an abysmal 45.26% win rate across all ranks worldwide, the worst of all support champions. Her partner in crime, Zeri, has also received nerfs and a hit to her win rate too, which may have had a knock-on effect on Yuumi. So she's not looking great in solo queue at all, which definitely doesn't fit Riot's plan to keep her viable for the average player. We'll have to wait until the patch hits pro play to see if they have successfully punctured her presence there, but if they have, mission accomplished? Kinda. 1 out of 2 ain't bad? Well, not really, if you ask me. She'll just disappear from the game entirely again, like the last time Riot nerfed her numbers without actually addressing her core gameplay. And if they then try to buff those numbers later down the line to compensate, well, the cycle will just continue. Many feel that Yuumi is simply an unfun champion with zero skill expression, one that no amount of balancing can ever fix. But Riot's hesitance to touch the real issue here, gameplay built around being untargetable, is likely due to the undeniable fact we talked about earlier in the video that she's just good for new players. And that's something that Bwippo, a very outspoken critic of Yuumi over the years, put very well on stream recently.
If I could have tried League by playing Yuumi and sitting on someone in Season 2 and just getting a feel for the game, I guarantee you I would have started playing this game way earlier. But because it was such a different experience, I didn't even really know what was happening or what to do in the game. It made it so much harder to get into the game for so many people. Yuumi circumvented that. In a way, Yuumi's genius. For competitive play, she is an absolute cancer, and I hate that she exists, and I don't know why they don't disable her for competitive play.
And that suggestion is something I've heard more and more from the community as the Yuumi issue continues to be a problem. Keep her in game for the average player, but out of bounds for pro play. Now that may sound great on paper, but it does go against a core pillar of Riot's esports operations, that the game you watch pro players playing is the exact same one you can boot up on your PC at home. If Yuumi is removed from the game in pro play, that will no longer be true. You will technically be playing a different game to the pros, even if it's just in that slightest of ways. But if Riot can't balance her and they're unwilling to change her core gameplay because of her benefits to new players, is that the only option they have left? Should they keep tweaking the numbers or resign Yuumi to becoming League's tutorial mascot? A champion that is great for getting new players into a decade-old game, but one that is too unfun and too powerful for pro play. Riot have likely known these options for a while, but the pressure to choose one just feels like it's mounting. An interactive spectator mode. I did enjoy writing that. Yeah, and I've actually never seen anyone else say that. I was writing it, I was like, it's actually true. It is an interactive spectator mode. Yeah, that's what it is.